We are 22 West Radio, the next wave of K-Beats. 22 West Radio is 22westmedia.com and 88.1 FM KKJZ HD3 Long Beach, Los Angeles. And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Golden Spotlight. I'm your host, Rob Flores, and at this time, I'd like my guests to please introduce themselves.
Hi, I am Tony Garcia of the Vox Arcanum.
And I am Julio Almaguer. I play the keyboards, the piano.
Oh yeah, and I sing and I play guitar in the band Vox Arcanum.
Yeah.
Awesome. So the very first thing that I'd like to do is have my guests start off from the beginning. I'd like each of you to talk about what was K-12 like? What was public school like for you guys?
Oof. All the way from the beginning? Well, let's see, K through 12. Lots of school changing, lots of moving around and trying to find like a spot. I guess I was always never quite fitting in. I was in and out of gate programs a lot, and then I got moved around all over like LA, USD, and MUSD as well. Let's see, middle school was rough, pre-pubescent age. And then, I think that's rough for everyone. And then high school is when I guess everyone kind of comes into their own and kind of create their own identity. And I was decidedly that skater, punker, metal dude. I don't know, I kind of grew out of that really fast because towards the end of senior year I started thinking about like what I really wanted to do, what I really wanted to be. And I just had a feeling, like a gut feeling that music would be involved somewhere in there. And then I graduated, and much like every other millennial out there, I didn't know what to do. So I kind of just ran with it. And yeah, what do you?
K through 12 is a rough time when you look like you're from kindergarten and you're in 12th grade. So it was lots of performance arts for me. Ever since I was young, it was a lot of being on stage or talking in front of people, singing, whether it was for church. It was dance team, ballet.
All performance.
Yeah, it was a lot of being in front of people. So I think I knew from a very young age that I wanted to just be in front of people and make people feel whatever either I was feeling or anything artistic. I wanted them to feel it.
That's a way better answer than mine.
So I always ask my guests this question. You know, senior year, people would say that's the most stressful year of high school. Walk me through what was senior year like, and obviously the question goes through people's minds. Graduation is coming, like what's next?
Personally, I didn't know what I was going to do. I feel like even at this point I still don't know what I'm going to do. I'm 24, 6 years out of high school, and still figuring out everything, you know. And I finally feel like I have a heading, but knowing exactly what I'm going to do was lost to me in senior year. Wasn't sure if I was going to go to community college or if I was going to try to move out or get a job full time or not. And I just didn't know. I don't think anybody really knows. Even when they say like, hey, I'm going to college, they don't really know 100% what they're going to do unless you're like that 4.1 AP student that everyone loves and hates. But for me personally, I wanted to find footing and I wanted to have time to get into something that I wanted to be a part of. Whether that was music or something related to like what Julio was saying, which is like an artistic medium of any kind, because I feel like nobody wants to let go of their aspirations to professionalize in something that they love. And for me and Julio, that's definitely, you know, anything artistic. Like he said, dancing and singing and performing. And for me, it's like definitely like music, writing, and performing.
Well, arts and like drawing. Tony here has drawn a bunch of stuff for us in the band.
Oh, yeah. I occasionally doodle some stuff up.
Logos and a bunch of other stuff. And yeah, as for me, for 12th grade, it was the same thing. The uncertainties kick you in the butt. and you start thinking like, what is gonna happen next? You don't know how you're gonna even survive. You know what I mean? But I think as long as you know deep down inside what your passion is, and you constantly push towards it, I think it does become reality, because you have to constantly rotate it in your head and keep telling yourself that whatever it is you want will happen, and you have to keep at it day by day. And yeah, being a senior in high school was definitely intense. Of course, like what Tony said, the uncertainties.
Yeah, and yeah, exactly what Julio said. You just gotta put your mind to it that you really want to do it. So I think that's what I learned the most towards the end of senior year. Just like whatever you choose, you're gonna have to, you know, go full on with it if you want to realize it. And you know, it goes with anything, whether it be a job, college, career, learning, or you know, music or arts. You gotta go all in. You can't really half-ass anything.
So what did it for you that you guys realized, you know, what was next?
Like when we started the band.
Yeah.
Friends, honestly, for me. I never started a band in mind of making it, like, going the distance initially. Like, I kind of just wanted to try something new, and starting the band only really started because of a friend of ours, a mutual friend of ours, named Ivan DeLint, and he introduced me to our drummer, where Julio was actually living at our drummer's house. His name is Brandon Kawasaki.
Shout out.
Yeah, shout out to him. Couldn't be here with us today. But yeah, and it started off with just wanting to develop new friends in music who all had like-minded goals, and the goal at first was write or put something together that we haven't done before, and that was just
Yeah, we didn't even have performing in mind at that time, I don't think. I think it was mostly like, let's get together and see what happens.
quite literally.
Yeah. So it was first you and Brandon, right, decided to get together?
Yeah, it was just me and Brandon in a garage, and again, like, it wasn't even like performing was in mind. We just wanted to see what would happen if we just jumped and tried to just jam some music out together. And Julio would always be there, right there with us in the garage. He'd be chilling, you know, just watching us do our thing. And then one day I asked Julio, like, hey, do you play anything? And he's like, yeah, I play keys, you know, I play piano. And I'm like, we'll get in here.
Yeah.
And it really just started like that. And again, the first goal was friends in music, people with like minds and people that wanted to do something fun. And then it grew. And that's when I knew that I for sure wanted to do the band, because I found people that wanted to do it as well.
Yeah. The reason why I found the turn was straight out of high school. I went to pharmacy technician school.
That's pretty niche.
And I was like, whoa, that's a lot of stuff you have to memorize. And a lot of different things. And it was a lot for my head. It was a lot. So I dropped that, and I was like, I'm going to focus on making my music, making what I love, and eventually making that a living. I know it. And I kept repeating it. And I went to school for recording arts, and I produced my own music. From there is where I met Brandon. I ended up being his roommate for a long time, and then Tony.
And as fate would have it, just by choosing to follow, you know, his passion, Julio, it landed him in the right place at the right time, which was with me and Brandon, where we were just starting to get together and try and put something, and then he was just there, and it was just like, oh, you know, it was right there. There was no better way to have it, you know. As a old school philosophy would be, it's Occam's razor. Usually the simplest answer is the right one, and he was right there in the right place in the right time, and it clicked.
So, you were going to college. How did you make up your mind as to which school you're gonna go to first? Like, not only that, like when someone starts off at a college, like, did you at least get to start off with friends? You know, sometimes it could be nerve-wracking, starting off at a new school and not knowing anybody. What was it like?
Personally, I ended up getting away from friends a lot, because a lot of my friends pursued UCs and Cal States. I went to Cerritos Community College for a very, 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 very short amount of time. And honestly, it kind of scared me. It was a little overwhelming because I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't know what I wanted to be. And the idea of like getting into debt or taking classes that wouldn't be useful to me or my degree, whatever that may be later on, was always scary to me. So I kind of went in for like a quarter semester, and then I didn't know what to do next. Then I took another break, and I took some time to think to myself, and I didn't have anyone to really show me what to do next. So I'm pretty extroverted myself, so I rely a lot on friends, and I like to help friends too. But I was really out of my element trying to, do it all on my own.
And ask.
And to try and ask was like out of the question for me. I was like, huh? Like, what do I do?
Yeah.
And so, rather than dig myself deeper, I took a break, started working, and then eventually just thought I should try music. And the first way I would try music was by teaching people guitar on my own, and that went really well. I ended up teaching Ivan DeLint, which kind of brings me full circle to how I met him, and then how I eventually met Brandon, our drummer, and how I eventually met Julio, and then just started the whole band. So my story is definitely a lot about, the reliance of and the help of friends to make you realize what you want in life, personally.
Yeah, and mine definitely the decision of when I did drop pharmacy technician school was like knowing that this wasn't like what I envisioned or what I pictured me doing the rest of my life. I didn't see myself going to a pharmacy and working that every day and knowing these things. And I know for some people it's a passion. It's a passion knowing about things and how drugs and how they work with your body and stuff. And that's real. That's how you know that profession was going to be for you. You know what I mean? And for me, it was that decision. Like this wasn't what I envisioned myself doing. This was someone else's dream or someone else's
put on you.
Thoughts. Put on me. So from there, obviously, I didn't do it the right way. I just kind of stopped going and told people I was still going.
Stay in school, kids.
and I don't think that's the correct way to go about it, but it happened and eventually led me to where I wanted to be in life.
Yeah, we might be preaching to the choir here when it comes to like the whole notion of find yourself first, but there could be no truer statement than to take the time, don't jump into something just because it's what the society status quo is, that you have to do everything at the exact moment that it's presented to you. You sometimes need time to figure it out, and that goes for people in college that maybe they want to pursue a different major or minor. And for me, that was just figuring out how I wanted to interact, and it was for me, again, friends, and then pursuing the band, and then now I'm kind of doing like this full-time like booking, managing, business owning kind of thing. And I'm learning a lot, an incredible amount from friends, other people in other bands, both bands that have toured the country, bands that are local, bands that are up and coming, and it's a huge, immense learning experience for me, and I'm happier doing this than I've been happy doing almost anything else before.
Yeah.
So tell me about all the instruments and stuff that you guys know how to play, and how you guys learned them and stuff.
I can start this one off because mine started in, obviously elementary, everyone plays the recorder, right? But my real love for the music, I think, was in middle school when I would pass by the music room and there would be mariachi playing all day long. And I jumped in one day, talked to the music teacher, and I was a violinist for a mariachi band a couple years.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so that's...
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, that's what sparked it all. And from there, I wanted to learn saxophone. From there, I wanted to learn a ukulele, guitar, jump on the piano. And it was just nonstop, like, this is endless amount of things you can come up with.
So many things,
Yeah.
Julio is really the multi-instrumentalist of the band. I feel like a one-trick pony.
Never.
I play guitar and guitar.
And he sings.
And I sing. Recently a singer professionally. Everyone loves to sing in the shower, but there was like kind of a point in the band where I wanted to really try my hand at it. So I sing and play guitar, but my start with instruments was when I was like 5 or 6, And I distinctly remember the night that my parents asked me, like, what instrument do you want to play? And I had to sit down as a 5 or 6 year old, and I thought, oh, I think the piano would be cool. And they got me an accordion. And you know,
kind of similar.
I mean, I see where they were going for, but I think what they were going for was that an accordion is smaller than buying a
So
kid
it takes
a
up
piano.
less space.
Yeah, remember, this is the 90s too. Like, I don't think keyboards were as cheap or as prevalent as they are now.
Yeah.
Synths and whatnot. But yeah, they got me an accordion, and I took lessons, and I remember thoroughly enjoying it. And then I stopped when I was like 8 or so. And I think that the footnotes and like some of the early lessons have stayed with me from accordion, but I completely, other than that, forgot how to play, and for the longest time I forgot how to read music as well. So when I decided to pick up another instrument, it was when I was 15 or 16 in high school, and I decided to pick up guitar because it was the cheapest, quickest, fastest thing you can just grab. You know, I bought a $20 acoustic guitar off of my friend.
There's a blue one.
Yeah, the blue one, yep. Named Angel, shout out to him. And I just started to teach myself how to play. I just kind of knew what I wanted to do and where I wanted to go with it. And for me, it wasn't a race, it was just wanting to do it. And I just learned at my own pace and eventually took on more and more information, learned chords, progression, scales, and so on and so forth. And then 5 years after that, I made a band. When I was 21 is when, or 20, about to be 21 is when I officially formed a band with Brandon and Julio. And yeah, those are the instruments I play. I'm trying to get back into piano.
Which he does. He plays piano.
Not well. And yeah, other than that, just then singing. And singing has honestly been the most difficult thing, for sure.
I think it's the most difficult only because you feel a lot more judged, right?
Oh, most definitely. So much off. And with, I hate my own voice 90% of the time. I'm going to listen back to this radio thing, and I'm going to listen to it and be like, God damn it.
So, that accordion days, did you like watch Weird Al or what?
That's right. He had the glasses on and everything.
Polka. No, well, funny that you bring that up, but like in accordion, a lot of what you play is the waltz, which is like 3/4. You'll find that in like banda music, and you'll find that in a lot of like old school classical music. You find 3/4, the waltz, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and a lot of that has stuck with me because 3/4 is actually underlyingly my favorite personal time signature.
And you will hear it a lot in the album.
Oh, on the album, I feel like well over half the album is in 3/4, and I think that's just like a remnant of when I used to play accordion. Like subconsciously, my body is like 2, 3, 4, and therefore I write a lot in 3/4. I have that tendency, so that's pretty funny.
Cool. So, who have been your inspirations, especially musically?
Oh man, that's
big question.
That's always the question that like rattles me because it's so much. It's literally so much. From early on stages, from like cumbias and salsas growing up, and mariachi and banda being played at every family party, until like middle school where you start experimenting on your own music and start listening to your own things. And from there it was like
R&B, hip hop.
Yeah, R&B, hip hop. It was Linkin Park. It was all that stuff from the 2000s. Then it was I was more into like oldies and things. I guess started calming down the stuff that I started listening to. Yeah, and from there, all growing up, it was Spanish rock, Spanish music, a lot of Spanish music for me.
and that's something that I personally pride in the band, which is that we're for those who don't know, the Vox Arcanum is like a progressive hard rock, progressive metal band, but we love incorporating influences from the whole spectrum of genres, like Julio said, cumbia, Spanish rock, hip hop, R&B. And you can definitely hear some of those influences across the entire album. Like, we're not by any means like a one-trick pony when it comes to like the style or substance that we use in our music. So those are Julio's influences, and mine personally, again, come from like a lot of places. When I was younger, I used to listen to like a lot of like R&B, smooth jazz. Weird, right? But hey, I played accordion. It was like piano bits and stuff. And then Luther Vandross, I can remember very distinctly being a huge part of my childhood, and I liked a lot of. I listened a lot to 103.5, The Coast, so I got all those like soft rock, love rock, I guess I would say.
Mhm.
And so ballads are like a huge part of my thing. And then as I grew up, I actually had an affinity for country music and folk music a lot. Even though, like, as a middle schooler, you're like, you listen to country? And I was like, no, don't judge me, you know? And then towards high school or the end of middle school, I kind of got this, like, elitist style, like, country music is whack. And, you know, like, folk music is whack. And I kind of started listening to punk and metal.
Yeah.
And all the heavy stuff, which I don't regret listening to. I mean, I love it still, but I regret having shunned music just because of a social thing
Status
in
quo,
school,
yeah.
status quo in school. And then towards the end of high school is like when I said I really came into my own. I really just discovered music and liked music for it, and I found out that I really do like everything. The most I listen to though is probably hard rock, progressive hard rock, alternative rock, stuff like, for me personally, Coheed and Cambria, the Deer Hunter, lots of hard rock too, like Killswitch Engage, stuff like that. You know, I like listening to that, but I also love listening to things like City in Color, which is a folk group led by Dallas Green. And then I also like listening to Civil Wars, you know, more folk music. I like listening to old school hard rock, Kansas, Black Sabbath, Pink Floyd, you know, and all the like, you know, everything. And I pride myself in having understood and taken from so many places.
Cool. Tell me, what was you guys' first performance as a band? What was that day like?
Oh man.
Oof.
4D?
Club 4D.
4D.
Let's just start off by saying that we got bailed on for our first performance.
Oh, dun dun dun.
Yeah.
Drop the hammer
We
on.
had a lead singer that was not myself.
It was not. So there was 6 members of the band before.
Yeah, because we have Brandon the drummer, Frank our lead guitarist. I played rhythm guitar and only rhythm guitar. Julio was keyboards, and our bassist Mike. And then we had a lead singer that we had actually come in and write stuff. And let's see, how do I not slander his name
Yeah,
entirely?
exactly.
No names involved here. But he was a. How do I keep this PG?
It was rough, and then
he was
just.
a not nice person. Go ahead and translate that into whatever you want. And he kind of was a diva about things. And when we booked our first show, despite having a full set ready of material, he bailed on us, and we played our first show
Instrumentally, we were an instrumental band. Not to say that it was a terrible show, because that show was the greatest night ever.
It was literally invigorating, and it freed us in a way.
Yeah.
'Cause
I
knew
remember
what we
that
could
night
do.
exactly. 4D coming into it, we were nervous. It was really cool though, because that venue is literally to this day one of the best local venues I think we've ever played
it's
in.
one of the coolest ones I've ever seen. It's got so much style. It's just one of the coolest places.
Upstairs, you have the DJ playing like all kinds of
Club music and
club
stuff.
music. Then you head downstairs to a basement.
And there's a stage
there's a
with
stage.
an immense seating area and pool tables and lounge area.
So we're already super nervous coming into this place.
Yeah,
I
it
was
was a
nervous.
super rad place. The full name is called the Fourth Dimension up in Monrovia. That was our first spot. That show was given to us by a friend named Andrew Young. It was part of another band called Wolf Rage.
Yeah, check
And
their stuff out
They're
too.
super cool. They've been homies from the start. Yeah, so our singer bailed. We played that show instrumental. We had fun, and honestly, for the longest time, our music was kind of developed instrumentally. The singer wouldn't like to write with us since the beginning. He always liked to write on his own and then just kind of bring stuff to the table and then
Come to
leave
practice,
for
yeah.
3 practices and then come back. And I guess inherently on its own, we had already developed a lot of the music to be strong enough on its own without him. And I guess we should have seen the red flags earlier on. But he ended up quitting before the first show because he didn't like things the way, he only wanted things to be done his way. And then we played a show, and we had massive support from everyone who showed up. It was quite a big crowd with several other bands that played that night.
And they told us keep going, keep pushing. You
It
guys
just keep going, and we needed that. I mean, community efforts and community response is really helpful. It'll get you going to the next spot. So we ended up performing instrumental and actually more than a few times after that, and
Cool.
then
So tell me, the song that we just played earlier right now, the electrical type of like kind of like video game feel to it. Tell us about it.
That song is called Undone. It's actually a chiptune track version of one of our songs in our album. It's actually the intro song to our album.
It's like a remake of one of our songs.
Yeah, it was, and it's done with like specifically it's done with the soundboard that was available to Game Boys from the 90s, and a friend of ours made that on a Game Boy with all the musical notes from the actual song, and so it just sounds like a video game. And then we created a YouTube video for it where it kind of gives some of the lore from the band, and it's just like a fun little thing that we did.
Yeah, I think Tony figured like everyone's into like chiptunes, old school 90s babies, so.
Yeah, 90s babies. Nostalgia lives through us. So 90s Game Boys and stuff, we felt like it would just be a cool idea, and it resonated with people really well.
Awesome. So, how about giving some tips also to like people that, you know, they want to also start their own band? Like, what was your early start like? How did you go about promoting yourselves?
What are some tips? You give some tips first.
Starting off, to promote ourselves, we did the whole social media stream. So we got a bunch of social media stuff in our name. That was, I think, the first step we did.
Yeah, definitely. Like before we even performed or anything, we created a Facebook and an Instagram, and I think we also created Twitter too as soon as possible, because we started in January of 2015, but we didn't. 2014, January of 2014, and we didn't perform until January of 2015. But
the whole year, yeah.
But we were on people's radars the entire time because we were pushing the progress of us writing music.
Yeah, and we had released a demo
super early on. The demo still exists somewhere on YouTube.
Where we just put literally just one mic in the middle of the room and everyone just played. Like it wasn't professional or anything in a studio or anything like that. And we just posted that everywhere. And we did a whole countdown thing where people were anticipating like the drop of the demo.
and this was before we performed or anything. Before we had a vocalist, before we had anything. The idea in being a band and promoting yourself is staying relative, you know, like find a way to stay relative, find a way to show people that you are doing something, that you're working. Because believe it or not, I mean, Facebook is, you know, what people do to keep in touch with other people. And if you are staying relative and you're showing them what you're doing by, you know, even the most what most people would consider mundane steps,
like going to go eat as a band, like,
you know, just keeping it relative, keeping yourself relative is everything that you need to get people interested in you. And for us, like again, before we even had our first performance, we just kind of get people up to date, like, hey, we're writing a new song, even though all songs are new to you because you've never heard of it.
Yeah.
Or
so
heard of us.
Take yourself already as a band that has already had things coming up, you know, had albums. You just take yourself as professional, I think, as possible.
Yep.
I think was our mentality, which it carries on and carried forward to everything we've already done.
Yeah, and for when we started the band, how it began starting up, tips that I can give for sure is make friends first. A lot of people think that musical prowess is the only thing that matters when finding members for a group. But honestly, it's finding people, A, that you can tolerate, because you're going to be with them for a long time.
It's a second relationship.
It's a second family, it really is.
Yeah.
And B, that have a good head on their shoulders. Honestly, we learned that kind of like the hard way, where we didn't care who we got as a singer. We just wanted someone who was good, and it doesn't matter how good someone can be. If they are, you know, like, if they're a turd, or if they're just like just straight up like, you know, mean, or just like condescending or whatever, it doesn't matter how good they are, they will ruin and wreck your chances of ever growing as a band, because you will hate every minute that you're there. And that's not what you need in a project that has so much love and heart going into it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you need to surround yourself with like-minded people who
are positive and want to be there, you know.
Because there will always be stressful moments in the band, you know, every little thing can happen, but the important thing is finding a group of people that you can work with and that you want to be around to write with. Because you don't want to let one sour person ruin an entire experience. And that almost happened to us before our first show. But once that person was out, we kind of just took off.
Yeah.
Hey. Yeah.
And where can people like listen to all your stuff?
It's everywhere. So we have a Bandcamp, the voxarcanum.bandcamp.com. We also have Facebook. You can look us up on Instagram, the Vox Arcanum.
Twitter,
the Vox Arcanum. YouTube, we have a YouTube channel with a bunch of our
Oh, and
videos.
spell it too, spell it.
The Vox Arcanum, it's going to be the, T-H-E, Vox, V-O-X, Arcanum, A-R-C-A-N-U-M. And yeah, we're the only people with that name. So if you just type us in on Google, all our social media will pop up. Vox Arcanum, Facebook, Vox Arcanum, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, it'll all show up, especially on YouTube.
So the name, tell me the story of the name too.
The name,
Like what the name means or how we got it.
Yeah.
both.
Ivan DeLint actually helped me come up with the name. He's the guy that introduced me to Brandon way in the beginning. You know, he's been a big part of everything. You know, he's kind of like the catalyst for all this having happened to begin with. Like it probably wouldn't have happened without him. But he and I were just going over random cool names that we thought. And the first name that we came up with back way in January, February was Petrichor.
Bam! I remember when you told me that.
Yeah,
name
you remember
too.
that?
And I
we
was like, whoa, that sounds
like that
intense.
sounds wicked. And you know,
Yes.
if you look it up, petrichor, what it means is the smell of
Come
the
on.
earth and the ground after it rains. You know, like that earthy, wet smell. And we're like, that sounds cool, and it's got like this cool thing that people
Core,
like.
you
You
know?
know, core. You too. You know, you can make a cool logo out of that. And then we looked it up, and some British band took it. So.
So to
GG.
our luck, we had to change our name.
Yeah, and we were kind of stuck for a while. We actually didn't rename ourselves until April of that same year. We spent like a whole 2 months just like, yeah, we'll worry about the name later. And the next thing that came up was
Your amp, right? Or was it that one?
no, I mean everyone thinks that it's based off of my amp because I have a Vox AC-15. That's just purely coincidental. Vox sponsor me. But my amp is called a Vox, and we just happen to be called Vox. But I personally just like words that begin with the letter V. One of my favorite movies of all time is called V for Vendetta. And so I wanted to do something with the letter V in our name because, you know, V is it's just a cool letter. Words that begin with V, like vicocious or voracious or vicissitude or, you know, vigilance. You know, it's like really cool V words. And I was really sticking around with Vox a lot. I tried to think of something with V, and I was like, Vox Populi, that's from V for Vendetta. And that wasn't, I was like, no, that's too, I don't know, not feeling it. And at the time, Ivan and I were watching the movie American Psycho with Christian Bale, and there's a restaurant in there called Tex Arcana, and
Oh, now I remember.
and we replaced Tex Arcana with Vox Arcana, and then we eventually changed to Vox Arcanum. Arcanum is just another tense of Arcana. It's just Arcana, Arcanum, they're synonymous. And so Vox Arcanum is what we eventually stuck with, and we eventually tooled it for a meaning for the band.
Cool. So, let's talk about the day I met you guys, the event that you were at. Tell us about it. Tell us about Roland.
Oh, Roland's a cool guy. He had collaborated with Joey, goes under the moniker Sideshow as his performing name, and they had hit me up like 2 months in advance about playing a show in Linwood, and honestly, we had come off of a small hiatus because we had just been doing so much work on the album and releasing the album and getting official everywhere as a band. So we found it a good opportunity to come back out and start doing shows again and start getting publicity rolling and stuff. So that was a really cool event. We got to see a few people.
Roland, he had a really nice setup. It was in Linwood, and it was it was in a park, out in the open.
Out in the open.
And there was art everywhere. It was food. There was different performers that went on that day.
Yeah, different kinds of performers, and it was really good because in some way or another we knew everyone who was there, and I think again going back to the whole sense of community and community of musicians and artists is what made it feel very homey.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, it did. It made it feel like welcome from the start. We didn't feel out of place. It was very very nice. The whole day was really cool.
Yeah, because since 2015 we've been performing almost nonstop, and we we took a small break essentially in 2017 because we've been playing for 2 years straight. We'd met a lot of people along the way of all genres that we've played with, indie artists, we've played with hardcore artists, we've played with metal bands, we've played with like folk
Hip-hop
artists,
artists.
hip-hop artists, like all around, you know. We've set up our own shows, we've played elsewhere, we've played at the House of Blues in Anaheim. We've been around the block, and, you know, we just have like this great big pool of friends that we were able to come back to, and so we set up that show, and it was really nice. We got to see everyone play. Mad Survivor was there with us, very good friends of ours. They just released their EP. They played. Jacob Ortiz, he's a really cool guy too. He has a lot of projects under his belt. He's also part of the band Silas. Really cool group of dudes, progressive metal, progressive hardcore. Yeah, once again, it was just a great event all around for everyone.
What do you guys got coming up as of late right now? What do you guys got going on?
As of late, we have a lot of stuff coming up. We have a show in December that's kind of brewing.
Mm-hmm. We're booking a show in Huntington Beach, venue to be announced, but December is when we're going to play next. We've been writing a lot too. We've been writing new music because even though we just released the album, you know,
Yeah, by the way, check it out. We just released the album. It's called
Of Time and Fate.
Of Time and Fate.
Yeah. The writing never stops. We just released, well, we didn't release, but we just performed a new song called Apelian's Fight.
And that night at Linwood was the first time we performed it.
Felt good.
Yeah, it was a long time coming. I think that song really pushes the fact that we were on hiatus and kind of really just wanting to get out there.
Yeah, a lot of pent up energy for sure. We're on the verge of starting well, we've already started the process for, but we're filming a music video in December with a good friend. His name's Shots by Matt. Again, just a huge pool of people that we've met over the course of years that are all just coming together for all the right reasons, community and music, and music industry in general. And he's helping us film a music video, which we won't say the name of the title for it.
Yeah, but he did a bunch of our promotional photos.
Mm-hmm. He did. He also helped us film our trailer video, which is also on our YouTube page, called Undone. He did like a full-on, like, thematic, super like cool, stylized trailer video for the whole album, essentially, when we announced it back in June. And what else we got going?
We have shows in January.
Mm-hmm. And all for the next year.
Yeah, big shows coming up.
And more music being written.
More music, so make sure you guys follow us everywhere.
So, the other question I ask my guests is, where do you see you guys after, like, retirement? What do you want your legacy to be?
Oh.
Legacy. Here, you take that one.
Oh, great. Thanks for the tough question. So, legacy. I think I just want to be remembered for the type of art that I put out. Whether it was me feeling sad and someone connecting to it, or me feeling sad over my lovely girlfriend and connecting to it. You know, as long as someone feels like they aren't alone or they're not the only ones going through whatever it is they're going through, I think my job is done and my legacy has been written. So
yeah, that's for me personally. This kind of came around at the same time that I decided to be in a band, and I knew what I wanted to do, which was low key. I didn't want to be that guy that just worked 9 to 5 or 8 to 4 and did that for 30 years of his life and didn't do anything that he wanted to do as like a dream. And I don't want to be that guy who told himself you can't do this or you can't go out and try that. Because I mean, the only person stopping you from doing those things is you. And something snapped at me at one point when I was like 20, 21, and I just thought like I want to write music in a band. I don't know if I'll be good at it. I don't know if I'll ever be good at it. But I just wanted to do it. I wanted to try and find out. And the legacy I wanted to leave towards the end of everything was, you know, music. And I'm actually really happy because we've done that. Our album, full-fledged, completely copyrighted and published album. I'm the first person in my family to record and release music, and that feels astounding.
Awesome. I know.
Yeah, it feels amazing. Like, this is my legacy. Like, after I die, this music will live on, and that's kind of like a weird, like, you know, Egyptian like King Tut thing, like I will leave these giant pyramids here in my legacy. Everyone will know I existed, and he did it. And I don't want pyramids. I just want a CD, maybe 2. And the idea is that we're gonna just keep going. I always tell everyone that the same old saying that says it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. Well, bands are 100% journey.
Yes.
Like we've done a lot of things. We've accomplished so many things as a group together. We've written music, we've recorded music, we've performed everywhere, and after every single thing, it doesn't stop. You just gotta keep going. You gotta keep wanting
The next
step. And growing and being a part of a band that you can do that with together is an incredible feeling, honestly. Like it's something to say that you've made it, that you've created, and that is yours and only yours, and it feels good.
Awesome. Well, again, tell our audience where they can reach you guys.
Everywhere. Spotify, Google Play, Amazon Music. We're on a bunch of streaming services. I don't know which ones, but we're all over the place.
Also, merchandise, if you guys want any merch.
Oh yeah, we have several t-shirt designs, physical CDs, buttons, stickers, all that jazz for sale on our website, voxarcanum.bandcamp.com. With almost any local band that you guys will find, you'll find that they have a Bandcamp. So if you see a local band at a bar or a pub and you don't get to talk to them, just remember their name and type in .bandcamp and you'll probably find them there too. We are big advocates of the supporting the local scene, supporting other bands, and getting people heard. So anyone that we've mentioned, Wolf Rage, Mad Survivor, Silas,
11th Frequency.
The 11th Frequency, which is actually Ivan Dylan's band. Look at that. We're just all pursuing
Full
music
circle.
together. Full circle. All of them have Bandcamp, so any of those names go .bandcamp.com, and you can support them by just as simple as listening to their music.
Yeah, and remember all these things that the streamings and all that help us to get to the next step and eventually tour the U.S., which is...
That's the next big step for us. We
What
released
we
an
want to
album.
do.
The next big step is to continue playing shows, raise money, sell merch, and save up for that tour van, and then get on the road when we can.
How about an email address?
Oh, Vox Arcanum official at gmail.com. So that's Vox, V-O-X, Arcanum, A-R-C-A-N-U-M, official at gmail.com. You can email us there for booking inquiries or for anything. You can also message us on the band page or on our Instagram, and we will respond.
And our personal Instagrams. Mine is at Jom808 on Instagram, and you can follow my Facebook page at Julio Almaguer.
Yep. And then you can find me at Tony_Arcanum on Instagram, and then I'm Tony Garcia. You can find me on Facebook. Please add me. I'm happy to make new friends all over the country or all over the state. And let's talk music.
Awesome. And speaking of all over the country, people have been tuning in from Periscope as well, listing places. I know I saw London on there as well, so that's pretty cool.
That is super rad.
Again, everybody who is listening, if by any chance you tuned in a little late, this will be available on my blog as well. It'll be robfloresmedia.wordpress.com, so you can look for the full episode there soon. And once again, I want to thank my guests for taking the time to be here. Again, if you guys have any closing statements.
Closing statement. I just want to thank you, dude, for the opportunity to even do this.
Yeah, this is really cool. We're getting a pretty much biographical look at us and our backgrounds. It's really awesome. Thank you for doing that.
Cool. Well, everyone, thanks for tuning in to the Golden Spotlight.